members of the Presidential Task Force, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, from the introductory remarks of the Permanent Secretary GSO, it looks as if we have a very full evening. Let me welcome you all to the national briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for Monday 20, no? Today is Thursday. For Thursday, 27th August, 2020. Exactly 6 months ago, on February 27th, 2020, the Honorable Minister broke the news of Nigeria's index case of coronavirus from Ogun State. Immediately after that announcement, knowing our very frail state of health facilities, the federal government, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, started putting in place containment measures to help meet the challenge that had started crippling economies and exposed inadequacies even in the best health systems. It is with all sense of modesty that I wish to state that Nigeria has done remarkably well, but could do exceedingly better, as captured in Mr. President's speech during the World Health Certification Free Status for African Continent, when he expressed optimism on our fight against the pandemic. And I quote, "At a time when the global community is battling the COVID-19 pandemic, this achievement, that is eradication of the polio virus, strengthens my conviction that with the requisite political will, investment and strategies, as well as citizens' commitment, we will flatten the curve," unquote. As we enter the last week of this extended eased lockdown phase, and not the impressively declining fatality ratio and reduction of confirmed cases, the Presidential Task Force would also like to draw our attention to a subtle change in the epicenter of the virus. We all recall that Lagos, Kano, and Ogun states were the initial epicenters, and this to Uyo at a time, and now Plateau State. As mentioned by the Lagos State Commissioner for Health and a notable COVID-19 warrior, Professor Akin Abayomi, Lagos has passed its peak, but we call for vigilance and cautious optimism because the scourge is not over yet. Our strategic objective still remains to test samples in high numbers across the entire nation. It is therefore in the above context that the Presidential Task Force re-emphasizes our often repeated calls to every citizen to take responsibility by complying with all guidelines and non-pharmaceutical measures, including wearing of masks properly, maintaining social distances, avoiding large gatherings, maintaining regular hygiene practices, and most important, staying at home for the most vulnerable. As we keep to these simple protocols, our individual and collective efforts at balancing lives and livelihoods would achieve its intended benefits, especially now that we have opened a lot of sectors and opening more sectors in the coming days and weeks. Recently, the The National Bureau of Statistics released the second quarter 2020 performance of the economy. It showed that the gross domestic product GDP slumped to minus 6.10% due to the impact of COVID-19 on oil market and other variables. This underscores the impact of the pandemic on the global economy. As we have often repeated, the pandemic also presents us with opportunities and impetus for innovation, creativity, and industrial development. For existing businesses of different sizes, we wish to remind you that government has approved an economic sustainability plan containing stimulus packages for businesses to access. As we prepare to reopen the international airspace, therefore, we are optimistic that the economy will continue to improve along the value chain as goods, services, and passengers move across borders. The aviation sector, no doubt, provides a window to the world, and a shutdown of 23 straight weeks obviously impacted negatively on the economy. Today's briefing has been packaged to underscore the level of transparency with which the resources deployed for the fight against COVID-19 have been put to use. As part of this briefing, the Presidential Task Force, the PTF Transparency Initiative dashboards will be launched, and that explains the presence of our development partners here today. This is a significant milestone because it puts valuable information at the disposal of every Nigerian. The PTF wishes to use this opportunity to thank the increasing number of discharged persons who have been sharing their experiences, the print and electronic media that have been supporting our risk communication and community engagement strategies, as well as the numerous partners that are sustaining the message. Before I call on the Honorable Minister for Health, let me, by extension, thank the media for the great job that you have been doing. Today, after I briefed the Council of State on the national response and the robust and effective coordination that has taken place in the last 6 months, the PTF received a commendation for having really sustained the national response and deepened its ownership across the nation. As a matter of fact, one of the former presidents did attest to the fact that on a daily basis, when we were briefing daily, he looked forward to the briefing sessions. And when we reduced it to 2, whenever time and engagements permitted, he would sit and watch and listen. And he received valuable information through that processes. By extension, you are the ones that have carried the message to the homes of citizens, to their offices, across the length and breadth of this nation. So I want to thank you, distinguished gentlemen of the press. I now have the honor to invite the Honorable Minister for Health, thereafter the DG, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, or person representing him, and the National Coordinator. Subsequently, they will come up to provide you with the technical details. And immediately after the technical updates, the launch of the transparency portal shall take place before we take your questions. I thank you so much for your attention, and have a very pleasant evening. Thank you.
you.